Coca-Cola, always for the fans.
Today then, the 14th of July, the 14th stage. You can see on the profile there, before they snatch it off the camera, that it's all downhill from here. Well, not exactly, but once they roll out from Bess at the start, we've got second category climb of the Col de la Croix Morande, after some 21 kilometres of racing, and that might well shake out the sort of kind of atmosphere which is with the bunch today. I'm David Duffield, looking forward to the 14th of July, because this, of course, is Bastille Day. This is the big day on the Tour de France when many people have been celebrating. In fact, they celebrated last night. The fireworks were flying all over the place, and up and down the length and breadth of France, the celebrations were going on, and I wonder if we're going to get fireworks today on the stage here, the 14th of July. And keep your fingers crossed, perhaps, for a French victory. We had one last year when Jalabert won the stage into Mons, and I remember some years ago when we had Vincent Barteau, who's been working as one of our co-commentators. He won the stage into Marseille, and of course way back in time Thévenet won the stage as well on the 14th of July. So whilst they're in a sort of really happy mood here, watched across from side to side on the road, I'm sure they're not going to stay like this all the way through to the finish. Particularly yesterday, we saw so many attacks at the back end of the race, and let me just tell you exactly what happened in terms of the time lost yesterday. If you saw the stage, Sorensen won the stage 177 kilometres in 4 hours and 3 minutes, just ahead of Rodriguez and Varonk. Leblanc, 4th spot, and then Salvadelli came in 5th spot. And then that group came in Indurain at 23 seconds. Chris Bourman was right on his shoulder yesterday, so he finished 7th, actually, the bold Chris. And by the way, he's found he's got some blood disorder. And well, it looks like we've got the attacks coming underway already. So as they're firing off left, right and centre here. I'm trying to put you in the picture what happened yesterday. Certainly Broadman, 7th spot yesterday, looked good. Saligari goes away here. So Chris was 7th yesterday. Blood disorder seems to be weakening him a bit at the moment, but I think they can treat it okay, and he reckons he'll be in good form for the Olympics. And this is a nice little break from Saligari, watching now. Behind Bourman, Brochard was 8th, Dufo was 9th, Olano 10th, Rees in the yellow jersey 11th, Luttenberger was 12th. But the big drama was a bit further down, because Rominger and who else dropped off at that particular point? One or two of them. That's right. They came in something like this. 51 seconds Hamburger with a group of riders, Ulrich and Boltz, and then Rominger. So there's a bit of time lost on general classification by Berzin and Rominger, who failed just to move at the right time when Indurain put the pressure on. We're watching here. Saligari goes away in slow motion yet again. He's no great threat overall in general classification, but yesterday Indurain certainly, by riding hard to finish and grabbing that 6th spot, helped himself to a few more seconds, and so did Rees when Berzin and Rominger just couldn't hold the pace at the back end of the race. So I don't think we're likely to get exactly the same thing today, although there is an uphill finish. The final kilometre dragged itself up to the finish at Tulle, and looking down here, the group don't seem to be too bothered at the moment. 143 riders starting the race this morning. Maltrupuy of France, still the Lanterne Rouge. That's a nice sight. Hot air balloon. It's going to be hot today, by the way. 30 degrees have been promised. Bit overcast at the start, but the sun, we understand, is out at the finish. Oh, here come the cars. Come on, shoes, off you go. They're stuck there on the side, rushing across to see the riders, but a bit too late. They've gone through now. And looking there, Richard Varonk near the front, because we're going to get that first big climb, the Col de la Croix Morande. And a platform's building up here. This could be interesting. We've seen it before, with 1 or 2 riders slide off the front, and then the big boys try and join them, and that puts the hammer down. Are we going to see the same thing today? Saligari 15 seconds back, but there's an attack coming up here on his own. Motorola have been trying so hard to get themselves a stage victory, and Saligari might get some company, but it's a very long way in towards the finish. Yep, company's on its way up. Nice steady grind up toward the top of this first climb. And certainly that looks like a very good move by Madouas. In fact, Madouas is celebrating here somewhat. What was it, a couple of days ago, his wife gave birth to little Valentin. All of what, 3,100 kilograms, or 3 kilograms, I don't know, 3 kilograms and 55 centimeters tall. So Dad here, number 64. And there's a group after the happy father, Madouas, and now another mouth to feed. Perhaps he's looking for today's prize worth 50,000 French francs at the end of it all. That's a thick end of £6,000 in English money. Oh, by the way, talking of money, we understand from, mind you, these are often rumours, we understand from the telecom sources that Ulrich, who was on a contract this year of 300,000 Deutschmarks, which I think you have to divide by about 2 and a bit to get the English equivalent. So he's looking like about 150,000 quid this year, I suppose, or thereabouts. He has, in fact, tripled his earnings for next year. He's on 1 million Deutschmarks, young Jan Ulrich, and that's some great reward for his performance. He's at the moment in 5th spot. And a bunch are coming up pretty quickly. I don't think they're going to leave these two out very long. In fact, they're splitting. That group now is splitting under the pressure on this first climb of the day. Or has the peloton come back together? No, they're dribs and drabs all the way. That's a tough one to get a very quick start. A lot of riders still suffering from yesterday and the distance they've covered so far. What, thick end of 1,500 miles of racing in your legs and only one rest day. And the fast start isn't always to people's liking, particularly a long drag like this one. But virtually off the top of here, it's all downhill. We've got another 3 fourth category climbs and then the final 3rd category climb in towards the finish at Tulle, and they've been caught. As again, TVM launching riders off, and Festina. Well, this is Rooks. He's been a very active character in the recent days. He did the same thing in the Tour of Italy. We saw him always beginning to have a go, prepared to do it. He rode very well in the French Championships as well, attacking all the time. It seems to be his whole desire. He can't quite stand the pressure of the top 10 men, so he just waits for stages like this. And here comes Leblanc, Veron, and of course being marked out by the ever-present telecom riders. I don't think they're going to let that one get too far away. And Brochard is with them now. Well, that's a good move by Festina. Look, they've got Brochard on the front, then Veron. They've also got Pascal Herve up there as well. And Rooks, so a lot of Frenchmen here today looking for that victory on July the 14th. Pascal Herve sitting just on the back of this little group at the moment. Came late into pro ranks. Oh, look who's moved up as well. Well, there's nobody of any great threat there, so can't quite think why Rees has wandered across here, but he's gone up there, looks back now. There, Berzin's moved with him as well. So the peloton more or less coming back together again as the yellow jersey moved across to keep his eye on Veronk. See, Veronk actually could, if he really concentrated on the getting yellow jersey, maybe quite a threat. He's 3 minutes 13 seconds down on general classification. That's a fellow in the polka dot jersey. Looks like he's caught something revolting, doesn't it? But no, it's not a disease, the dots on his jersey. He's not suffering from measles or anything. That's the polka dot jersey, introduced in 1975. It was the polka dot jersey, and so that's 20 years ago. And Veronk at 3 minutes and 16 seconds has been moving up the general classification bit by his supreme climbing. We've still got the big finish up at Lourdes Hautecom on Tuesday, and then of course we're going over the Pyrenees on Wednesday and back over again on Thursday. And I suppose that Rees has said, well, look, I've been watching the other chaps, but I better watch this fellow Veronk because he can suddenly claw back those minutes. But then again, Veronk is not the world's greatest time trialist, so perhaps even if he closed up a little bit on Rees and the rest of them, he might find himself struggling on the time trial. Just 1K to go. Still Brochard on the front. On the King of Mountains competition, where Veronk is leading, he's got 199 points. Bjorn Rees, who's actually tracking him now, must have moved up because he's second overall, 115 points. I don't think Rees is that much of a cannibal to try and take the polka dot jersey and the yellow jersey, so he's just going to keep his eyes on Veronk, I think, make sure Veronk doesn't slip the net here. Rominger is third on the King of the Mountains competition, 107 points. And I don't see Rominger here at the moment. He's been suffering with some knee trouble, and this little group's going away, and I don't see Rominger there. Or is he just off the back? Quick flash then of the camera picked up the Mappe man towards the back here, but Berzin's certainly there. Luttenberger's certainly there. There is Olano just bringing up the main pack. And Rees looks back. He's doing the damage here, Rees. He's certainly showing his strength. He's just not prepared to sit on wheels. He's prepared to come up here and ride hard. There you see the flashing red line showing how far we've got. And look at how it all goes down. And only that final red bit at the back end may have a chance for more seconds to be lost and gained, as we saw yesterday. Still Brochard. Getting close to top. Veronk looks over his shoulder, sees he's got the yellow jersey menacingly behind him. In fact, three Festinas wall to wall now. They are the official timekeepers of the Tour de France. They've also got a team in here as well. And Veronk starts to attack, and there he goes. Rees is after him. This man's got style in the mountains. And there he is then, another hatful of points. Rees second, Brochard third, Hervé fourth, and the gap opened up a bit here back to Olano. And what's this? There's a big gap, and Romiger's not up with his leading group at the moment, nor is Indurain. And here is this Rominger coming over now. And there's Indurain out of the crash. Oh, no! Zabel's been caught in that one. And it was one of the Kelme riders at just a moment's indiscretion, switched round, took his eye off the rider in front, slammed his front wheel in, and down they go. One of the Rabobank riders then, it's knit one, pearl two, dropped a stitch here. Well, that has caused a bit of a upset in the chasing group. In fact, it's not Indurain's wheel that he hit, but Indurain is in there, and he nearly got brought down, Indurain. The rider's grabbing the brakes now in front of. There's Claudio Chiappucci. Crash, bang, wallop. That just shows you, take your eye off the ball for a moment and you have the problems. Now, is Zabel hurt? It looks like he's okay. Nearly got collected by his team manager's door. And his team leader up in front. Bjorn Rees out of trouble then. And yes, the time checks are coming in. It looks like the split is probably round about 12 to 15 seconds between Rees on the front here and Rominger in that group that got disrupted when there was that little crash. Rees is an amazing descender. You'd think when he got the yellow jersey he'd be a little more cautious, but he's quite prepared to go at the front on this descent. There again, one thing about being in the lead, you can pick your own line. and less chance of somebody sliding off in front of you and taking you down at the same time. Rees on the front, then Veronk, and here we are, Zabel coming back. None of his teammates waiting for him. This is quite early in the race. We've just done, what, 21 kilometres as such, so I think that as it's a good long drop off the top here, it goes right the way down for at least another, what, 15 kilometres, I suppose, before we hit anything else, so there's a fair chance that Zabel can get back. Oh, come on, you boys, look at this, that's amazing! Rees is so confident. Look at this, nonchalance par excellence, or whatever is the Danish expression for just taking it easy on the front. This man is a marvel of the Tour this year. He's just shown his strength all the way through. Now he's brought his teammates up as well. So come on, let's get stuck in. He's realised there's a gap opening up. And there's a useful little group here. Berzin has made it across as well. That's him. Well, he just made the right move. That's confirmation of the climb that we showed you there. Veronk, Rees, Brochard, just for that. And also, I see Olano's come across. Well, on general classification, we've got Bjorn Rees here, Olano's here, Berzin's here, but not Rominger. We've got Ulrich here at the moment. Luttenberg, who's also, what, to 6th on GC. 7th Veronk is on GC, but Indurain is not here. Indurain start this morning in 8th spot, 4 minutes 38 seconds down. He's there in that chasing group. I can hear it coming up on the race radio as the nonchalant Mr. Bjorn Rees goes for his Sunday club run. Absolutely amazing. There's a tidy group that's away here. It looks like Saligari at the back, who started it all as they climbed up the first mountain of the day. And down the hill they go. And so we've got a nice, useful group of riders in here at the moment. Rees, Luttenberger, Berzin, Leblanc, Veronk, Bartoli and Richard of the MG team, Brochard and Pascal Herbe. Ulrich is also here with Udo Boltz from the Telecom team. Olano is here, and young Rooks as well. So it's a very good group of riders, and I wonder if they're prepared to work with the yellow jersey now. This could make life very difficult indeed. And what, 25 seconds back to Indurain and back to Rominger. They've got to start chasing this one down now. Well, this really has suddenly exploded right at the front end of the race. Nice to see Pascal Herbe in this group. He won a stage in the Tour of Italy, stage 6, and took over the pink jersey. So there's some good riders here prepared to have a go, and that really has put Indurain and Rominger in all sorts of difficulties. Hammering along here, this superb chase that we've been seeing all the way through, and now with, what, about 50 kilometres to go. What a day of racing. That split on the climb of the Col de la Croix Morande. And now the riders going through the Tour d'Auvergne, exactly 50 kilometres covered so far today. They come over the top of the Côte de Magennes. Indurain and Rominger using their teams, particularly it was Banesto that done most of the chase, and now 40 seconds back on the yellow jersey group. Fantastic. Look at that peloton, absolutely stretched to the limit. Banesto thrown everything they can into the chase to get up there to catch Rees. They've been aided and abetted by several other Spanish riders and Spanish teams. Amazingly, we've had Neil Stevens. In fact, you see him there now at the moment, still going on the front. Neil Stevens for Once. Well, there's no love lost between Once and Banesto, so perhaps Neil thinking, well, I'll hope to close this one down and try and get a stage victory for the team. But there, Banesto really have a bust a gut to try and close that gap down. They've still not done it. Jonker's just behind there. This is a phenomenal chase, and Indurain knows that he's got to get the whip out. Starting this morning 8th place, 4 minutes 38 seconds down on Bjorn Ries. No rest for the wicked. This is a great race again today. There's your Benestos with, amazingly, the Onse team. I'm going to be interested to find out from the various team managers and some of the chat tomorrow about why it was Onse got in there to try and help Benesto pull back that deficit. I'd have thought they left to Big Mig to fry with his team. It's not just a strong team he's got this year. Miguel Indurain for the Benestos. They a bit on the weak side. 35 seconds, they're pulling it back now. An absolutely phenomenal chase. Everyone right on the rivet. Now, I'm going to explain that, I suppose, to you people back home. When you say that on the rivet, it doesn't quite happen so much today, but in the old days when they had leather saddles, I mean, some people have leather on top of their plastic saddles, and some people still prefer leather saddles, but problem is when they get wet on them, sometimes the leather saddles distort. They take a lot of braking as well, so most riders now use plastic saddles of one sort or another, often with a leather top and foam underneath. But in the old days of leather saddles, they actually riveted the leather onto the frame, so you've got what they call a cantle plate at the back. That was the curved bit at the back where they put about 5 big rivets. And the thing was, even in the days when Brooks, and they still make lovely leather saddles too. Brownholme has punctured. Well, that will mean that the Telecom rider's going to have a fair old chase to get back at this sort of speed. 30 seconds, the gaps come down, and again we've got the pink jersey on the front of an Onse rider and one of the Kelmy riders going through. So Spanish riders or Spanish teams are really helping Indurain at the moment. As I say, they're on the rivet because when they put like about 5 big rivets across the cantle plate at the back, and at the front you had 2 rivets on either side of the nose of the saddle, which held it onto the front end of the frame, and then of course you could actually adjust it behind that front set of rivets. There was a little nut and a bolt through there. You could adjust the saddle. You could, as it got a bit slack when it got wet, you could actually you could stretch the saddle back again into its normal shape. So when you're on the rivet, it's when you're right on the front, on the peak of the saddle. But it's an old expression. They don't have rivets any longer, not on the front. Though some of them do actually decorate their saddles. Or 1 or 2 manufacturers have got back to putting rivets on the back of the cantle plate just to make it look attractive. But that's not the fashion on the front any longer, where they're secured over the nose. But on the rivet they've been, and it looks to me as if Leblanc is beginning to get lashade here. That's amazing. He's been climbing so well in the Tour in recent days. Veronk also having some trouble hanging on. Ries is really driving this one along. Is he on the front? Look at this, Bjorn Ries on the front, absolutely stretching the leaders, and they're grovelling in his wake. Oh, normally a yellow jersey gets his team to do the work, he sits on the wheels, and he goes with the moves, and he keeps his eye on things. It's very seldom. I mean, the old days, yes, we saw Eddie Merckx, we saw Bernardino attacking the rest of the field, but in recent years, particularly when Miguel Indurain has been dominating it for the last 5 years, bang, the sort of big blanket went on the race, and they moved with everything that moved, but you seldom saw an attack like this. I know that Ries has got his supporters and his critics, but believe you me, he's certainly riding hard today. So confident to be out there in this little breakaway group. We're so far yet to go. 186 kilometres of racing today. They've still got about 130 to go. And Ries is still on the front, making the world champion suffer on his wheel. Out the saddle on this drag, that's the way the legs hurt. Look at them all going here. There's Ries, then there's Olano, then behind him is Berzin, then Ulrich, his teammate in the pink. Well, the gap's been coming down all the time despite the pressure of Ries, but he's looking back down there now to see, in fact, if the main peloton's coming up. And I think he's going to give it a bit of a rest now, and I don't blame him. There he goes back into the group for a breather. You can see almost a sigh of relief coming from the back end of this little breakaway group at the moment. The Rees has stopped turning the screw at the front. Brochard going through. Then Bolts, then Rees is back in there again. Baront looking for a gap, but Delano comes through. Doesn't take Rees long to come back and have another burst on the old banjo at the front. Sun really beating down. Temperatures up in the top 20s, close on 30 degrees, so it's going to be a hot day in the saddle today, and Rees has certainly made a few people fry at the back as Ulrich goes through. 35 seconds, they're holding it then. It looked like it was coming down at one point. They're still holding 35 seconds lead. Still this long drop down towards the bottom of the valley. A bientôt, says the old sign above there. Well, goodbye to you too. Here's to tomorrow. Well, we've seen some racing every day. We've had a couple of quiet days so far in the Tour de France. Relatively quiet when some of the riders, the lesser ones, got away. Here we are, shows you where we got to. And see how far it still drops on down towards the finish. That certainly is going to aid that little breakaway group. But look at the speed of this chasing pack. And it looks like Indurain hasn't got many Bonestos left, so the green jerseys of Kalmir come to the front. Volunteering, in inverted commas, he says, their services. I can't quite understand this as to why they're doing it to defend it. Of course, I suppose, in fact, that as the Tour de France is going into Spain, the Spanish, whatever your feelings might be towards Indurain taking the yellow jersey the sixth time, would like to see him either in the yellow when they go to Pamplona or very close to it. Splitting up now. That hot pace has had its effect, and there Rooks looks like Luttenberger. And the ever watchful Bolts of trying to get themselves sorted out here. What's happening? Well, Rees is having a go, jumping all over the place, isn't he? Look at the power of this man. A little split tried to go on the front. Ulrich went over and marked it out, so Rees has now got back to them again. Well, looks like we're going to have another attempt by Pascal Richard to get a stage victory. He got that one on the stage 12. It's a long way to go yet. I can't imagine. I suppose that they're trying to work out the basis that if they can shell out the yellow jersey, which doesn't look very possible, perhaps the main group, if they could catch all the yellow jersey, would ease, and then this lot could continue with their day's work and try and get themselves a stage. Pascal Richard always prepared to ride hard down the road, putting the pressure on that main group. The red car going through, the gap must be coming down inside 30 seconds then. And yes, information is it's still closing down, but are they going to stay out there? It's been going down, going out, going down, going out. I didn't see much of Baront on the front. He was struggling to stay the pace on that last gradual climb, and that's it. I think that Rees has decided now that he'll let this little lot go. And that was a very good move by Pascal Richard, together with Brochard and Rooks, because the gap was coming down. They got the information on the blackboard and they decided to nip off, because certainly once the yellow jersey has been absorbed, it could well mean that the main group will sit up. They've had a very hard chase indeed. This is an extremely courageous attempt then by Pascal Richard. You see he's no threat overall, 37th at 39 minutes and 26 seconds down on the yellow jersey. So Pascal Richard still persisting And there comes the main pack. That's it. Rees is sitting up, having something to eat. That's been a furious chase so far, and I think he will have done the damage. He'll certainly will have put the pressure on the Banesto team, put the pressure on Mappe, and in particular on Tony Rominger, who's got that bad knee, and his thighs also gave him trouble as well. He had a very bad night, Tony Rominger did last night. So they're now all back together again, except that little breakaway group of 3 men just down the road. Our breakaway group still positioning now, 179.5 kilometres covered on the stage here, and are now going through La Gwen, and there are just 7 kilometres to go to the finish. Just 7 kilometres left to see who's going to win this stage on the 14th of July. 2 Frenchmen in there at the moment, Madouas and Roos. Abdou Japarov in there as well. That's the fellow in the Refin red colours here. What a great ride he's had so far. He attacked yesterday to try and get the stage victory, and they're actually turning round in through the town and coming back up again to the finish. So a lot of spectators here can see them come through here and then go back over to the other part of Tulu, where the finish is uphill. In fact, yes, hello there folks. So getting into the final few kilometres, see the 5 kilometres to go sign before very long, and then the run up to the finish, and it is quite a nasty little run up to the finish. The final 1,000 metres are up a little drag. It goes up 5.2% in places to finish off the 186 kilometres today. Might well suit something like young Roos here, because he's quite a nifty little climber, as we saw in the Criterium International. And there's the main pack now out of contention for the possibility of getting a stage victory today, but they're beginning to eat into the ground just to cut back the deficit on time that some of the riders now in that main pack will have on this little group here. Nobody here, any great threats overall on the general classification. It's a very tricky run into the finish, by the way. They go in along the Avenue Winston Churchill, turn right up the Avenue Victor Hugo, running up alongside the river of La Corrèze, and then with 1,000 metres to go, that last 1,000 metres takes them right up a zigzag climb to the finish, where the big crowd is waiting with bated breath to see if we can get a stage victory for France. Got to be a lot of nervousness amongst these riders here, but they're still working away to make sure they don't get caught napping. They're all just keeping the pace up. Hamburger. In fact, I think it was Hamburger who had a stage victory in the Tour de France, and his parents came down on holiday to spend some time on the Tour, and they arrived after the stage had finished. They were going to the hotel to try and find where he was, and they said to somebody, you know, who won the stage today, and they said Hamburger, and they wouldn't believe it. They thought someone was pulling their leg, but anyway, I'm pretty sure it was Bo Hamburger's parents who came and found surprise. They hadn't had the radio on, didn't know what was going on, to discover that their lad had actually won a stage in the Tour de France. That's a fellow on the front now. Madouas just behind then. Let's say Daddy gave his wife gave birth to a child just, well, you usually give birth to a child, don't you? You don't give birth to a bicycle. And that was his little Valentin. 4 kilometres to go then. I missed the 5 kilometres, sorry, I was looking up something else. Massive crowd turnout, 14th July, you can see all the bunting here and the noise tonight again. They'll still be celebrating. They celebrated last night, they'll celebrate tonight as well. Riders don't get much sleep when the old fireworks are going off. Who's going to really let rip now with the fireworks on this run into the finish? Madouas it is, that's leaping away on the right-hand side. I thought he would be perhaps ready to go to give France the victory. 4 kilometres to go. Gouali goes after them. Laurent Madouas starts this one rolling. The rest look like they can't hold the pace now. I think it must be something around about 80, 90 kilometres they've been out in the lead, and it's Madouas that's gone away. Very good ride he did last year in the Tour of Italy to finish 12th overall. That showed that he could climb the mountains. He only had a victory last year in the Criterium of Lenses. He's got to get the stage victory now, but he's been caught back. The Madouas tried and failed. He's a tall fellow, 6'1" tall. So this final climb up the 1,000-metre finish isn't going to exactly suit him, and looks like Hamburger has been sitting on the back. He's been doing a bit of work, but sometimes sitting there. He was one of the riders who went away on his own from the first big split we had once that attack by Rees had been nullified by the bunch. He's got his breath back now, and Hamburger is away. That looks like a useful gap. And there you are, running alongside Lacorez, and Abdul-Japarov's after him. I don't think Abdul's going to like that short, sharp climb we get at the end of this one. Of course, the riders, they carry these little cards with them, which shows the terrain. They'll know, having checked that out, that it is an uphill finish. And for my money, I think Roos, who showed so well in the Criterium International that he can climb, could be in with a shout. That's the fellow in the blue and white jersey there of the GAN team. As Abdul looks back, and he's got Hamburger on his wheel. Well, these two opened up a little bit of a gap at the moment. Sign there that at the summit again, it's going to be part of the King of the Mountains competition, so whatever happens here, a few more points going off, not on the polka dot jersey. Well, Abdul starts to go yet again, and the tired legs of Hamburger can't carry him with him. Well, this is quite surprising for a man who's not built like your climber. See how differently Hamburger is, a nice, light, lithe fellow, but Abdul-Japarov's using all his power here to punch away up the climb, and Abdul really has grabbed the race by the scruff of the neck at the moment, and that's a surprise. I would have thought further back someone like Roos could close this one down, or perhaps they're playing Doggo and waiting for the bold Abdul to blow a gasket. He tried so hard to get away before the mountains hit them yesterday, and he rode himself into a standstill, and look at the expression on his face now. Oh, he's got a significant gap here. That's a brilliant jump by Abdul. They're going to come up this climb, though. Some very good riders left here. Can he hang on? We've seen it before with bike riders, that they go and suddenly the man with the hammer gets you, and you just die. It looks like he's slowing down. On this climb, it's beginning to have its effect upon Abdul-Japarov, but still, this sprinter speciality of his, he's exploded all his effort on the lower part of the climb. Has he got anything left? He has to do so much work on his own. His team can only protect him for a short while, and then he had, don't forget, he's hauled his stocky body over the Alps. He's got the Pyrenees ahead. He had that phenomenal crash in the early part of the race, and it looks like now he's got a sufficient gap to get the stage victory. The thing he wanted to get yesterday, he couldn't get it. Now Madouas comes after him. Madouas is getting so close. France is urging on Madouas to get the stage victory, and I'm sure that his wife back in the hospital or back at home with the young baby saying, come on Dad, get in there, but Madouas doesn't want to drive too hard, because Gualdi, the ex-world champion, was on his wheel. Now Gualdi's leaping across. They're coming up very quickly indeed. Has Abdul got anything left in his legs as these two are closing up on him now? Gualdi and Madouas. Gualdi, a tremendous little climber too. Madouas, the big, long, lanky fellow behind. And Abdul is searching down for a bit more strength in those stocky legs of his. And Gualdi, I don't know why he's looking round. He should concentrate on pedalling, or perhaps he shouldn't, because we're all like, well, I don't care which one of these three wins, but for my money, having come back from that terrible crash when he was knocked out in Holland, Abdul-Japarov has really come back with a bang. I'll use the word bang, and he's now exploded up this climb, but these two specialist climbers now rocking their bikes up after him inside that final kilometre. Let's look from the top of the helicopter what the gap is like. And here's Abdul, he's come round the corner, and it looks like they're not going to catch him. That's absolutely tremendous. Abdul-Japarov has made it. Look at the look on his face. This is phenomenal stuff. Ah, brilliant, brilliant. We've seen him win stages in the Tour de France with a rapid sprint coming out from a heaving bunch of specialist sprinters. And now Abdul has shown that he can go on his own. He's ridden away with that break today, and he's riding in triumphantly. No hurly-burly sprint, no pushing and shoving, no being careful not to fall off. Abdul-Japarov just flicks his gear lever, straightens his jersey, and he's got the stage into Tula. Abdul-Japarov, a brilliant performance, and Gualdi comes up to him, but he just couldn't make it. Disappointment for Gualdi, disappointment for France. The best placed man, Madouas, there crosses the line, a weary third spot. Roos into fourth, equally weary, and just look at the damage that The bold Abdu did. Jadamalin Abdul-Japarov has got the stage victory, and look how further back people like Hamburger were, who even got to 3 kilometres and finish, were trying to get away and win the stage. 4 hours and 6 minutes of racing, and Abdu has got his stage victory. And the big train now will just roll on in here. I wonder if, in fact, they're going to try and split the field on the climb. Sorry about the picture breakup at the moment, because whilst we've had a great deal of excitement on the finish line with Abdu getting that stage victory, we must not forget that the yellow jersey has got to watch. There's certainly all the time checks we've had coming in have shown that the yellow jersey has not got rid of people like Indurain, Olano, Berzin, Rominger, but on this final climb, if he can split, he might pick back another few seconds. So a lot of work will be going on by the top men to stay close to the yellow jersey, not expect a split to happen. But on that long climb up to their finish, it could well do so. I don't know really what's happening here with the Pulte team on the front. They should let, I think, the Telecom team do the work. They can't get the stage. I know they've got a great mountain climber in LeBlanc, but I can't see the sense in letting him just go up here, except the glory of what's he going to be about, to 7th or 8th spot. But certainly the yellow jersey will have to keep his eyes on someone like Berzin, who says Berzin does, that he's going to have a go in the Pyrenees. Well, they tried to get Gualdi in for a stage victory to the Pulte team. He got 2nd spot. I can see the Benestos on the front one. This one up for Miguel Indurain. So what a day we've had then with the early attack on the first climb of the day over the Col de la Croix Morande, when Indurain got dropped, Rominger got dropped, and Rees went on the front and punched thick end of a minute out of them, and it took an almighty chase before they got the yellow jersey back in that breakaway group. Many other groups have been flicking off the front all day long, searching for that elusive victory, and yet again we've got a new name on the result list, with Abdul-Japarov getting the stage victory. The Breslau riders certainly been looking very active all the way through today, and they're firing one of their chaps off here. Could be a chance of getting a reasonable placing, but they've left it far too late. I mean, if they'd already closed down on that breakaway group of Abdul-Japarov, we'd have seen, I think, quite an interesting run up here. But as far as Breslau is concerned, it's going to be just a consolation day. Brochard coming up from behind. Well, he's a good little mountain goat, so I think he's going to reel in the Breslau rider. Yep, he's done it. You've got to judge it just exactly right, and that's what I think. The way that Abdul-Japarov went up here surprised me. I thought he might really blow a fuse on the way up, as Brochard now launched himself. He's got a different coloured headband. Every day he rides a different coloured headband on, by the way, and a particular style he's got wearing that headband. And there, boogieing on, just finishing. He was with that group, he got shelled out, so he just finished some 4 minutes down. He rode so hard, the team captain of the Aubervilliers Peugeot team. And this is the rest of the remnants of the group that had been with Abdul-Japarov coming in here. So they're spread all over the place today, but really the interest should be for our cameras to go back down, because as far as we know, the yellow jersey still in that main group, as these people have turned out here at Tullet to watch them fight up the top of this climb. Only was once before the finish in Tullet, that was 20 years ago, and we've seen some excitement today with Abdul-Japarov taking the victory. And here comes the main pack. Let's have a quick look down inside there. Yeah, the yellow jersey, quite safe. Also Indurain is in there. Barong, all the top people look like they've managed to take it in their stride. The Mappe team coming through. And, yep, so another, I think, hot day. It'll have its effect upon the riders. They'll go back now for their massage and a rest, but Abdul-Japarov the winner.
the Stuttgart clay.
Abdul-Japarov receiving the applause of the crowd for his fine win here today. That's, let's see, won 2 in 91, stayed in the Tour de France, 3 stayed in 93, 2 in 94, 1 in 95, now he's got 1 in 96 as well. So that's 9 victories in the Tour de France for this superb sprinter. Abdul-Japarov scoring yet again, but I've never seen him do one like that before. Romped away in the final kilometre. It wasn't his usual sprint, eyeballs out, thrusting for the line. He said he's come back good since the crash he had. He's getting stronger. We saw him the other day take a second place, but he just hadn't got on his legs. But now we look at the man who rode away from the rest to take the victory. What a character this man was too, that when we had the stage over the Ventoux a couple of years ago, Abdul-Japarov, having got a victory in the Tour de France, went and found some flowers then, and having to find out that Tom Simpson's memorial was up on the Ventoux. He didn't know much about it, but they told him about it. When he discovered that Helen Hoban, as she is now, Helen Simpson as she was when Paul Tom died on the Ventoux, he actually went and took his flowers off the stage into Carpenter's, and he gave them to Helen. And that shows you what a nice man he is indeed. A very great success today for Abdul-Japarov, one like we've never seen before, but the man who also showed us a few things today by attacking when he realised that Indurain had been dropped and Rominger had been dropped. It was a long way out from the finish, but it just showed how strong he was on the day again. This man at the moment looks absolutely unbeaten. Remember, he's a superb time trialist on the stage from Huy to Serang last year in the Tour de France. He was actually 5 seconds up on Indurain with some 6 kilometres to go on that time trial stage. A lot of people thinking, well, Indurain might come back and have a chance at yellow jersey if he closes up to within a couple of minutes of the leader. But if this man is still in the lead by a couple of minutes on the time trial, then I think he's going to take a lot of disadvantage. But we've got 2 big days in the, well, in fact, 2 and a bit big days in the Pyrenees, and he's going to have to use all his strength to keep that yellow jersey on his shoulder. But yet again, though, Bjorn Ries, the Danish rider for Telecom, takes the applause. Another day in the yellow in his fine old town of Tulle, very much known for its fine woven silk and its almonds factory here. And if you ever get a chance to come here, they've got a museum for the resistance, which took place very much round about here, the resistance during the war. And they've got a museum for those days of deportation that took place, but those were many, many years ago. But there's a lot of history around here, and history is being made by this man here, the Danish rider, just showing how strong he is. He was calling on, if you didn't see the early part of our programme, the breakaway group and his teammates when he realised that he got a lead of some half a minute over the top of the climb on people like Indurain and Rominger. His teammate here, Zabel, crashed at the top of the climb. Got back on his bike, fought his way back in again. He keeps the green points jersey. We've seen him sprinting out the pack, the sort of thing that Abdul-Japarov has been doing in the past, but he's still got enough points to keep that jersey. So Telecom having a very successful tour indeed. In addition to the yellow jersey and the green jersey, Telecom have got Jan Ulrich in 5th spot at the moment, 2 minutes and 6 seconds down on Bjorn Ries. No changes in the overall classification today. Silolano 2nd at 56 seconds, Berzin 3rd at 1 minute and 8 seconds, Rominger 4th at 1 minute 21. But the green jersey stays with Zabel for yet another day. This is the powerful sprinting that we've seen, as you see him look back there at Montcassin. We've seen it day in, day out, collecting points all the way through. But today he wasn't in with a shout for the finish because he missed the break. And now Richard Virenque, who said that he's riding to get his 3rd polka dot jersey in the Tour de France, and then perhaps he'll concentrate upon getting the yellow jersey. So that's his ambition, 3 King of the Mountains jerseys at the finish in Paris, and then perhaps he'll concentrate upon the yellow jersey. Well, he's shown he can climb the mountains. At the moment, on general classification, he's still poised quite comfortably, 3 minutes and 16 seconds down on Bjorn Ries. He could well, on the finish into Lord Hautecombe, in 2 days' time, move further up the classification. He won that stage last year when we had the terrible death of Fabio Castatelli. But he's still in that polka dot jersey. And I'm sure we'll see him going for that stage victory at Hautecombe on the 16th of July in 2 days to come. That'll be Tuesday. Of course, on Wednesday, we've got the big stage down to Pamplona. I'm giving you the information about this, so A, you can make plans to miss work for some reason. I think bury your grandmother or find some reason to go to the dentist or something, because those 2 days are going to be very significant in the Tour de France. So yet again, we've had an interesting change in that Abdul-Japarov has gone away and won a stage on his own. The jerseys haven't changed at all. The general classification is still the same. So I hope you'll join me, David Duffield, tomorrow for more action. This time we're going to be on the stage from Brive to Villeneuve-sur-Lot. And so from Tulip, this nice town in the massive Central, it's going to be time for us to say bye-bye to you, having joined us here on Eurosport. Again, to see Abdul-Japarov in slow motion, this super sprinter, showing that he's quite prepared to go for a long one. And he got the stage victory in triumphant style today. Congratulations, Abdu. Look forward to seeing you on the road tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.
Always for the fans.
Breakaway group of riders here on the stage 15 of the Tour de France from Brive to Villeneuve-sur-Lot, and they've just gone through the little town of Goudon after covering 90 kilometres of racing today on a stage which lasts for 176 kilometres. That's 110 English miles, and the sun is beating down on the backs of these riders in this breakaway group. There is Neil Stevens, the Aussie, who's going to set his sights on the Olympic Games when the Tour finishes on Sunday. And there you can see the gap now, 6 minutes and 50 seconds back to a very disinterested bunch. They've been gradually increasing their lead. They went away quite early on in the race, did Bartoli, Stevens, Guarini, Le Marchand, Van Petegem and Padenzano. And you can see that the Telecom have taken up their normal station at the front of the field now, but the stopping seems to have gone out of the chase, and it could be that we're just going to concentrate on this six-man bunch for the next 2 hours or so, or thereabouts, because, as I say, 90 kilometres, it does come through Goudon. The next piece of activity will be the feeding station at Salviac. That's after 105 kilometres have been covered, and I'm sure they'll take a very welcome drink, as these riders have been setting quite a respectable pace since the start this morning at Brive. That little group then, Le Marchand, then going through Neil Stevens on the far side. Padenzano. Guarini, well, he's been active all the way through this race. He and Leblanc giving Polti some exposure when Uchikov, who won a stage in the Tour de France, what was it, last year, retired early on, one of the many casualties of the sore knees, ricked ankles and crashes that they had just over 2 weeks ago. But now the sun is on the backs of the riders, different problems setting in terms of dehydration and fatigue, and of course lying ahead of the riders, ever present in their minds, perhaps almost nightmare for them. Tomorrow we go up to the finish at Lud Hautecombe, and that's going to be 1,560 metres above sea level, a whole category climb, and I think the race will really explode tomorrow. That's why the Telecom team, sitting back in the main bunch, are just keeping the lid on affairs and letting this little lot have their moment of glory. I think perhaps it's rather significant that today we're going to finish at Villeneuve-sur-Lot, because those who follow Formula One racing will know that the Villeneuve won yesterday at Silverstone. So what a coincidence, to use the word. There is no such thing as coincidence, I'm told from time to time, but nevertheless, sheer coincidence. Villeneuve-sur-Lot is where we're going today, and I wonder if we're going to get an English-speaking victor in the shape of Neil Stevens. There he is, the Aussie rider in the pink, and now with Jalabert having retired with gastroenteritis, and suddenly the whole of Spain, the whole of France seemed to go into a state of shock when he came out of the race, and Spain likewise, as far as Ronson were concerned. They thought they might challenge this year the might of Benestos, but it means now that they're going to have to look for the odd stage victory, and Neil Stevens there, to my memory, hasn't had a victory so far. He was away, I'm not quite sure it was with Greece or not. I'll look at the book of words, by the way. Remember the Bold Neil having a go at a stage victory and just failing to get one. Well, now he's in with a shout here with this little lot. The course, by the way, is from now on in, I mean, we're coming up towards the feeding station. There's a little conch at Mont Clélat, that's 260 metres above sea level, whereas the feeding station is 190 metres above sea level, so only like a 70 metres of climbing up the top of the Mont Clélat, and then they go all the way down, Mont Clélat, they all go all the way down to finish with a little sprint after 158 kilometres have been covered. So really, from now on in, it's flat as a pancake, except for that little short, sharp conch, which won't disturb anybody. And we're going to see, I think, the Telecom team rolling along here. No way will there be any chance of the top men deciding, I think, on a flat course like this, to put in a serious attempt to blast hell out of the field. Looking down there, we saw the names of some of the riders on the road. I didn't quite catch up with it early on this morning, but somehow along the course today, we're going past one of the riders' homes, in fact, right past the door, I believe, and there's going to be, in fact, I won't say all the teams being invited in for tea, but nevertheless, I think there's going to be a bit of celebration down there. I only caught a draft of just a bit of it early on today, but let's keep our eyes open for that, because so many of the French riders on this great big country have their fans and their family who come out when they go through their own neck of the woods. And on this occasion, I think we're likely to see the rider himself welcomed by his family. A nice church at Goudon. We're getting out of the Massif Central now and heading into towards the Pyrenees tomorrow, where the action will really, I think, explode, to put it mildly. A lot of riders here. It's a bit like, I suppose, when you've got your exams coming the next day, isn't it? When you're at school and that little pitter-patter, have I done enough work? What can I do to succeed tomorrow? How can I survive? And so I think that probably a number of these riders here will be just like that, thinking, today's just a quiet day. A bit like the condemned man in the cell having his last big meal or his last fag before they drag him out and electrocute him, shoot him, all things they used to do in the old days, put him to the guillotine. And that's tomorrow. But for today, the crowd turning out, lovely sunshiny conditions, 30 degrees centigrade, nice and warm. Very pleasant conditions for sitting in a cafe, having a nice drop of red wine or a cup of coffee and watching the race go by. And Telecom on the front. The rumours are flying around about this Telecom team that they've got another sponsorship offer from some big corporation in Denmark now. Well, the whole of Denmark, of course, is jumping up and down with the Tour de France. We've had so many of their riders, Bo Hamburger, Jessus Kippy, of course, Bjorn Ries in the yellow jersey, all featuring in this race so far. And with the Telecom team having the bold Bjorn Ries in the yellow jersey, it seems that suddenly the money might start to flow. We've had also rumours that, I think it's called Accora, a French hotel group, is going to sponsor the Telecom team next year. There's rumours that a big Italian car company, that can only be feared, but I'm not quite sure, it's just one of those rumours, he'd like to get involved as well next year. So the rumours are flying around that Telecom could be getting a hatful of money. They're certainly going to need it. We're looking here at Berzim, because this man here, with his elbows all bandaged up, young Jan Ulrich, who's going very well in this race, has trebled his income from 300,000 Deutschmarks per year to 1 million Deutschmarks. Cycling has a universal language. It's called sign language. I don't know quite what's going on here as to why Bartoli here, perhaps he's not happy with Van Petegem and the work that's being done. I'm not quite sure. Let's see if Van Petegem comes through. If he's soft tapping and not helping with the brake, then you can understand Bartoli's attitude. And let's see what happens. Rosala going through the Marchand, and here is Van Petegem. Is he going to do a P? No, let's watch. Ah, see, Van Petegem is missing his turn. The TVM rider, so Bartoli's now gone back in the little string here. And what they do, Van Petegem leaves a gap, and Bartoli knows that he's got to go through. If he goes behind Van Petegem will keep slowing down, and he's still got to accelerate to go back again. So Van Petegem at the moment is sitting on the back here. It's an old tactic, really. You pretend that you're stuffed and you've got nothing left in your legs, and you take a bit of a coasting ride at the back, and the other riders get a bit suspicious then. And we've got some way to go to the finish yet, another 70 kilometres or so. That's Pannonzano over there, the career rider on his way through at the moment, very tall chap. And with that enormous lead that we've got, something like 7 minutes back to here, they can enact their little play at the front. We did have a short period when Madouas, who went away yesterday in that group and finished in 3rd spot, very disappointingly, because yesterday being the 14th of July, he wanted to set the fireworks going himself and also get a victory for his new young child. He was born, what, about 3 days ago. Madouas tried very hard, could only finish in 3rd spot. Well, he tried again today to get up to the leading group. For a long time, he was wedged about a few seconds between the group. Then he got to 55 seconds, the main bunch 1 minute, and then it became 1 minute 6 to back to Madouas, 2 minutes the bunch. And I haven't seen hide the hair of him since then, and I'm just listening to see where race radio's got to at the moment. No information so far about where Madouas is, but he could well be back inside the main group. This certainly takes the pressure off the Benesto team. Quiet day like today. No. Petit foie gras. This is the great foie gras area we're going through now. Gastronomic delight, isn't the foie gras? And that was a little sign you saw on the left-hand side. That large duck to make a very small amount of foie gras, but it's a lovely delicacy from this part of the world. Not the ideal thing to have your pâté foie gras sitting in the sunshine, really. Just eat it down quick, otherwise keep it in the fridge. So no problem for the yellow jersey at the moment. As regards that breakaway group they're looking at now, I suppose, looking down here, where's the best placed rider? Bartoli is at 28 minutes, he's in 29th spot, so there's no great threat as far as the overall classification is concerned. Bartoli 29th at 28 minutes and 3 seconds down on Bjorn Ries in the yellow jersey. Chris Boardman's lying 31st at the moment. Van Petegem's still not doing a tap. Chris at 33 minutes and 20 seconds down on Bjorn Ries on the overall classification. And as at today, this morning, Imanaka, the Japanese rider, has now become the Lanterne Rouge. He's 2 hours, 58 minutes and 6 seconds down. The man at the back carrying the red light, 140th in the field of 198 who started, so he lost some 58 riders so far. Imanaka, the Japanese rider for Pulse, is in last spot at the moment. He dropped quite a bit of time yesterday. At one time, Mas Dupuis had held the Lanterne Rouge, but he's managed to drift up the overall situation at the moment. Just ahead of Imanaka in this battle for the last spot. 8:15 is growing all the time, isn't it? Battle for the last spot, if you can call it such a thing. Lesniewski is 2 hours, 38 minutes and 4 seconds down. So there's 20 minutes difference between Lesniewski and Imanaka. And Mas Dupuis, who previously was the yellow jersey, 2 hours, 34 minutes and 47 seconds. So the gap there is some, 24 seconds back. 24 minutes, back between Mas Dupuis and Imanaka. One of the mountain climbers, one of the sprint specialists who can't climb mountains, Bly Livens, is 137th overall, 2 hours, 90 minutes back on the leader. Eurosport, the giant himself, 136 position overall, 2 hours and 18 minutes down on the yellow jersey. And just above him there's Biashi, then Hincapie, another sprinter, 134 spot, 2 hours and 4 minutes down on the leader. And so we got the general classification of the men who are just surviving by the skin of their teeth in this race. And tomorrow and the next day and the day after, we've got some thumping great mountains to go over, and all the back end of the race could change. They have to stay within the time limit. Good luck to them.
Always for the fans.
What a contrast, the baking hot sunshine here on stage 15, 176 kilometres, that's 111 miles in, or 110 miles in English language. But we've got these riders here searching for a stage victory, something like over 6 minutes the last time check, or around that 6 minutes lead, contrasting with the start of the tour when it's miserable and cold and wet. And they've travelled all the way down since the start in Holland, right the way across the north of France, down in towards the Alps, across the Alps, through the massive Sun Trial, and now they're heading towards the Pyrenees and the big battle which starts tomorrow, says he. Wait, so this is the last chance I think we're going to see of this little crew that you've got on your screen now, looking for a stage victory. It'll all be turned upside down tomorrow, and who's going to get it? That's Van Petegem, who has done nothing so far to aid this breakaway group. See his long body, short his legs, short his arms. He's a great sprinter roadman, and we're well suited for a good quick sprint finish. The rest have cart him along now, and we're going up here. Well, a modest sprint. Potenzano drifts over ahead of Guarini. Looks like the Marchand for Gann in third spot, Bartoli in fourth, Stevens in fifth, and Van Petegem, as ever, in sixth spot. I'm sure that Neil Stevens burped then. It's all this fizzy drinks, the old Coca-Cola I think they've been taking down. Well, Van Petegem at the back, he only had one success last year, a small crit race in Belgium. I wonder if he's going to make a name for himself for the stage victory in the Tour de France. He will not be the most popular bloke in the bunch if he managed to stay away and get that one. And we're back with the main pack, and still Refin on the front, riding away. All they can do, I think, now is just hope they get Abdul Jafarov to win the bunch sprint. See all the blue and white jerseys there, MG Technogym. They're not going to chase it down. They've got a man up in that leading break. And then Mazao starting to come through on the far side. Wants to get out of trouble if we're going to get a very quick running towards the finish. And Refin being given the job of rolling this one along. That'll certainly help the big men looking for the overall classification, and I'll just give you a quick rundown on that overall classification. Bjorn Ries leading on GC, ahead 56 seconds from Alano. The stage is set for tomorrow because we're going over into Pamplona, into the Basque Country. Alano, the Basque rider, is in second spot as the speed now has gone up here after that sprint at Trentols, and they're inside the final 20 kilometres. Berzim, the Russian who rides for the Tallinn Gavis team, is third overall, 1 minute and 8 seconds down. Tony Rominger, fourth overall, 1 minute and 21 seconds down. Jan Ulrich, the rider for Telekom, the young German, 2 minutes and 6 seconds down in fifth spot. In sixth spot is Luttenberger, the specialist mountain climber from Carrera, the Austrian, 2 minutes and 38 seconds down. Richard Vironk has been climbing extremely well, has a polka dot jersey on his shoulder. He's seventh on the general classification, 3 minutes and 16 seconds in arrears. And Miguel Indurain in eighth spot, 4 minutes 38 seconds down. And in ninth spot, Laurent Duffield, also from the Festina squad, as is Vironk. He's at ninth, 5 minutes 3 back. And Escartin from Kelme, it's a Spanish-sponsored team, and Escartin being from Spain would look for a stage victory tomorrow. He's 10th, 5:17 down. So that's the top 10 riders in the Tour de France heading in towards the big climb of the Pyrenees tomorrow. Ugramov, another good mountain climber, 11th, 5:55 down. LeBlanc, another good climber, 13th, 6:47. So that's really the stage is set, I think, for a cracking day tomorrow. Here, the Onse rider Stevens. His best placed man in the Onse team is Zuller since Jalabert retired. Zuller is 11 minutes and 45 seconds down, so no wonder allowing Stevens a moment to go off the front and have a bit of glory. Neil going off straight off the Tour de France to Atlanta for the Olympics. And one man missing the Olympics this year who has said and stated to the press that he's a bit wistful about the fact he's retired. Greg LeMond has just been inducted into the United States Bicycling Hall of Fame. A ceremony was held just at the early part of last month at the Velodrome at Trexlertown in Pennsylvania. And the 3 times winner of the Tour de France and twice World Pro Champion has been elected into the big Hall of Fame, along with 1 or 2 other people, including called Marcus Hurley, who was 4 times national amateur track champion and won 4 gold medals and a bronze in the 1904 Olympics at St. Louis. That's a long time ago. It shows the Americans were quite dominating cycling in the early days, the 1900s, particularly on the track. And I wonder what's going to happen when we get to Olympics this year. Well, you can watch it on Eurosport and see what happens. The first program we have for you on Eurosport in Olympics this year will be the Women's Olympic Road Race on the day that the Tour de France finishes. And it's a great shame, I think, that the women have only been allowed into the Olympics. In 1984 they had the Women's Olympic Road Race, and one lady who by then had gone past the peak of her career was Beryl Burton, who unfortunately died about 6 weeks ago, 6 or 8 weeks ago. And to Charlie and Denise, I know the whole of the cycling world expressed their condolences, and I'm sorry I couldn't get up there to the function they had a few days after the burial. But Beryl Burton, 59 years of age, really, she just really was head and shoulders above everybody else as a cyclist, and a great shame she didn't have a tilt at the Olympics at all. She was the twice world road champion, second once. She was 3,000 meter pursuit champion 5 times, world champion 5 times as well. But she went on to break records as a time trialist in Britain, 25 miles. Imagine that, 53 minutes and 21 seconds. Beryl did that 20 years ago, and it still remains. 50 miles, she covered that in 1 hour and 51 minutes in 1976, 20 years ago. And 100 miles, just think of this, Beryl Burton did 100 miles in 3 hours, 55 minutes and 5 seconds. And I think the even greater performance was when she did the 12-hour record, when she covered 277 miles in 12 hours in 1967, and those records still stand. So we miss you, Beryl. We're up there wherever you are, and it's a great shame that you couldn't compete in the Olympics, which as they didn't have women competing until 1984 as such. Just a bit of history for you people back at home, and those expert cyclists out there who know all that, please forgive me, but I know we get lots of people who tune into Eurosport who have just found cycling. They love the sights of the countryside. They like to see these athletes riding, and they don't always know some of the background things that you experts do out there. And I think at the moment now a reflection that the bold Beryl is no longer with us, because she was such a great grand champion, and those of us who had the good fortune to meet her would know that throughout the whole of her life how unchanged she was by her success. And she was always a very chatty person, very much the same all the time. And of course her daughter too went on to be a grand champion as well. No chance of this lot catching that breakaway group. They're Abdul Jafarov in the centre of your screen. What a stalwart character he is too. I was mentioning earlier on that Le Marchand had ridden in the English milk race and then the Kellogg's, where we remember Abdul Jafarov many years ago. In fact, when talking about Beryl Burton up there from Yorkshire, Abdul won a stage in the milk race into Harrogate. I remember it well. First time I saw him sprint from one side of the road to the other, I thought this fellow's got some ability, and he's gone on, progressed ever since then. Hey, Van Petegham's moving forward. So in the last 20 kilometres he's going through here at St Sylvester. 163 kilometres covered today then of the stage. They've just got 12.5 kilometres yet to go. Now, are they going to roll in like this all the way through? Italians could certainly, I think, look for a chance of getting a stage victory today, because going back through the victors on the stage we had so far, Zuller, the Swiss rider with a Dutch mother, won the prologue time trial. Moncassin from France won the second stage. Cipollini, the bold Cipollini, the Italian star, he won the stage on the 1st of July into Valsquale. So Italy had a success there. Zabel from Germany took the next stage. Then Saugrand for France, and Aubervilliers Peugeot took stage 4. Vladimans for TVM team and Holland took stage 5. Bogart also for Holland, the rider from the Rabobank team, took stage 7. And then Leblanc for France took the stage up to Les Arcs with a good climb there for the Polti team. It's been an Italian-sponsored team, but it was a Frenchman that got it. Berzin, who again rides for the Italian team, but he's a Russian, took stage 8. Bjorn Ries, the Danish rider, took the stage up into Siestria, that shortened stage. We had Zabel, the German rider from Telecom, stamped his authority on the stage into Gap. Gonzalez, the little Sheppy Gonzalez himself, the Colombian, made all the Colombian radio commentators sleep even harder than they normally do, took stage 11. Richard from Switzerland took stage 12. Sorens from Denmark took stage 13. And Abdul Japarov, the Uzbekistan, took stage 14.
After the Alps and the massive centre...
Perhaps this is their chance to get a victory, which has been eluded them since Cipollini got that stage into Valsquale and then decided he was sick and went home, and is now busily training for the Olympic Games in Atlanta. The Italians then with by far and away the largest number of riders in the race, but so far have not dominated it in terms of stage victories. And if you like a bit of history, by the way, or at least to be able to have a retro, I managed to get myself one of these elite cork bottles. It's a nice aluminium bottle with a cork top to it, a lovely badge on it. It really dates back to the old 1950s, a bit of the old retro going on. Well, the Italians have been so much involved in the cycling scene, both in racing successes and also in the manufacture of components and what have you. They've got 3 men down the road, and a lovely attempt here by the Aubervilliers Peugeot rider, Thierry Gouvenaud from France. I think Thierry, if I were you, I better find out where he comes from. We'll probably find he comes from this part of the world. And they're starting to jump around up in front. He never catch this lot now. Although they say never say never say never, because things do happen. But the last time check we had, it was still the thick end of 6 minutes. They're jumping around here, and for Gouvenaud, he hasn't got much chance of catching this lot, but perhaps he can come in between the big bunch and this breakaway group now. Provenzano distance at the back, Guarini also distance. Van Petegem is struggling. There's Bartoli, who tried to pounce. Then Stevens goes. Le Marchand after him. Well, Bartoli on the Tour of Flanders, he went, what was it, about 14 kilometres from the end on the last climb of the day. He just took off and time trialled in towards the finish. And that's the fellow I think they've got to keep an eye on at the moment. He's got the strength. He's cutting right now. Provenzano starts to go. They all know, I mean, they're so skilled, some of these riders. They've been around a long time now. They know they've got to jump around, hope to try and break the elastic, and they've just got to keep attack. Then it's his turn. Then it's his turn. Because I think if it comes down to a final sprint, these riders, none of them really want that. They want to just get away, open up a bit of a gap and ride off in the distance. Provenzano it is now that's trying to get away and do just that. So the Italian's gone, and this is what happens. Nobody wants to chase, and off he goes. They say, OK, well, let him go down the road. He'll wear himself out, and then the rest of us 5, will work together. And Van Petegem here, come on, look. Stevens is telling Van Petegem, you've done nothing all day, Sunshine, get stuck in. Look, see, they're Bartoli saying, come on, if we don't work, he's gone. Yep, come on, they're trying to get the Belgian to work here. And look, he's going to go through, soft tapping. This is playing right into the hands of Provenzano. Way down the road. He really is rolling away for a long one here. And I suppose when I really get back to checking all my facts and figures, I suspect that if I have a chance, that he's probably belonged to one of the 100-kilometre time trial squads that the Italians used to produce over the years, regular clockwork to take some medals in World Championship level. It's been dropped from the Olympics now and World Championship too, because we've got the mountain biking in, but the Italians seem to be able to produce some blokes like this who can just get on the front, grind away and catch everybody napping. The Provenzano's gone, and somebody's got to start working to pull him back. 7 kilometres to go. This is it. He could have made just the right move. I mean, the same thing could have happened to any one of them, but he's just got it right at the moment. And he really has gone. This could be trouble. And there he is. Now then, on the 29th of July, so it's not far to go, he's going to have his 35th birthday, and he's looking for an early birthday present, Provenzano, and Stevens has other ideas. What's that on the left-hand side? Looks like Jurassic Park. So, can Provenzano stay out there, because it's first time we've finished in Villeneuve-sur-Lot, and he's still way down the road, and they let it, well, also letting him go. There's been no cohesion in the chase now. And there he is. This 35-year-old has really taken it into his mind to start and roll away from the rest of them, using all his age, skill and experience. And that's a very useful gap coming up to what, about less than 6 kilometres to go for Provenzano. Nice position, rolling along here, and they've let him go. Nobody wants to chase. This is absolutely amazing. They put Van Petegem on the front. Well, he doesn't want to do a tap at all. The rest don't know what to do about this. So Provenzano perhaps has shown he's got strength. The rest haven't got now. And Bartoli's not chasing. So I'll just wave for the Union Jack. Chris Baldwin's back in the main pack, by the way, still soldiering on, looking for the Pyrenees. And there Bartoli goes yet again, and that's a man I thought could be the one who could get the stage victory today. If Bartoli and Marchand get together here, I feel sorry about Neil Steamy working so hard. Those two could relay each other, but Bartoli is not going to bother. He says, come on. This is playing right into the hands of Provenzano, who's got his head down and is disappearing down the road. Perhaps, of course, all these riders, after being away almost since the start, have got nothing left in the legs, all stuffed, and that's it. So Provenzano has shown his strength and disappeared. Ah, this is it. It's all over and done with now by the shouting. Surely 5 kilometres to go. And Bartoli has to go. This is the man, I think, that could really pull back that gap. He really put his head down. Inside 5 kilometres to go, Provenzano on his own. The ex-champion of Italy has thrown down the gauntlet now as the riders is on stage 15 from Brive into Villeneuve-sur-Lot. And it looks like Bartoli is trying to go after his countryman. Italy could do with another stage victory, I think. They haven't had one since Cipollini got the early sprints under his belt. Oh, he's lost it. Suddenly, a big problem as he's gone. His tyre has come off. Oh, Stevens, Neil Stevens, after all the work you've done today, slams his brake on. He was going too fast into the bend. He wanted to get away, and that's it. He's down and out. What a great shame for this man. I say he's been given an award, a bit like the OB in Australia, for his services to the sport and his character. And he got himself married at the back end of last year. He also broke a couple of ribs as well in November. He's had a very bad start to the year. He's come back good. He had to ride domestique for Jalabert. And now Neil has been very much the activator in that breakaway group. Just slammed his brakes on, going into the corner too fast and rolled his tub. Tubular tyre came off the rim. At the heat, of course, what happens, these tubular tyres that some of them ride on now, they're stuck onto rims or put on with sticky tape, and the heat can start to lift it. And if you do like Neil did there and slam your brakes on and then with the glue, the sticky stuff just a little bit loosened by the heat, and your tyre rolls off and bang, down you go. Although quite a lot of teams are now switching to the clincher type tyres. That's your sort of tyre with not exactly a wire bead, but Kevlar bead, very light. They're not quite as light as tubular tyres. I would rather say they don't have the same sort of zip on the road, but they're a lot less expensive for a team to have. They can be sat on the rim much easier. They hold the line a bit straighter, and they don't roll off like you just saw there for poor Neil Stevens. What a shame. Misfortune. 1964 he got beaten by Sorensen after being away in the stage in the Tour de France. Now he's not even going to be in shout for a second place. It's Greeny's turn to go through. Then Bartoli on the wheel of Van Petegem, who at long last has decided he better start working because he hadn't done much so far, and looks like first place is gone. He was sitting in there hoping that he'd get taken up there, and probably of all of them, he looks like the sort of fellow who's got the better sprint of them, but they're not going to close that gap down the way that Provenzano's drifted away down the road. 27 seconds for Provenzano as Van Petegem here realises he's got to do some work now. Stevens is out of the frame, having fallen off, so that's narrowed the odds down, but can they catch the leader? 27 seconds confirmed on your screen, and there he is. A long way down the road, nearly half a minute now separating Van Petegem from this chasing threesome. Stevens having fallen off his bike. Guarini goes to back, Van Petegem on the front, and then Bartoli comes through. Now, Van Petegem, best known as a criterium rider in Belgium and Holland, and now under the 1 kilometre to go is Provenzano. He's got that one. They're only going to play out for second spot. Provenzano riding. He chose it perfectly well to go. He's come round the sharp right-hander inside 1,000 metres to go along the Avenue de Femelle. Provenzano has chosen his time exactly right to go for this stage victory. The ex-champion of Italy now going to have a stage victory in the Tour de France to add to his list of successes. And Green is clopped off down the road, and I think that Bartoli said, OK, let's have an Italian 1-2, and perhaps Bartoli might get third. So Italy, with what, some 62 starters in the race, haven't been all that dominant so far. And Cipollini taking the stage victory on day 2 in De Valsquale, the last Italian success. And now Provenzano, the 35-year-old, coming across the line to win a stage for Carrera. And that again, that's one thing about the Tour de France, you see, that we watch the mountain stages, we see the close pack finishing sprints when the bunches come in, and then we get these stages like we've had for the Massif Central for the last few days, when riders who are the domestiques of the team, who never have much chance for glory, then have a chance to come out and show. And now Guarini it is who's going to try and get a second spot for Italy and for his Polti team. They already had a stage victory, Polti, in the shape of Luc Leblanc, and now Guarini's managed to prize himself away from that chasing pack and to come into second place, making it number 2 as far as Italy is concerned on the stage today. And a sprint, let's see, Bartoli must be the fastest man, but then I say Van Petegem is a sprint specialist in the criteriums, and Bartoli then has had to let go to this Belgian rider who takes a third spot just ahead of the Italian. But certainly Italians have had their day of glory today, and for France, Le Marchand rolling in for the Gann team. And I hope there'll be a sympathetic round of applause then for... No, he said, I'm out of it today. I did my best, but that's it. Neil Stevens rolled his tub, coming into a consolation 6th spot after a hard day's work. He really rode himself into the ground today. Great battlers, Neil Stevens. Good on you, son. He wouldn't have won the stage the way in which Provenzano went away, but he might have been there with a shout for a 2nd place. But bad luck for Neil Stevens today, but he tried so hard. By that breakaway group of 6 men who fragmented in the final few kilometres, but nevertheless the big group here as they cross the low are only going to come in for challenge for 7th spot. Still points at stake for the points jersey, and the other big thing of course is that people who are in contention for the overall yellow jersey must keep out of trouble now and make sure you don't get felled by the big bunch who are hurtling down into Villeneuve-Sous-Lô. They're inside 1 kilometre to go. It's the first time we've had a finish in Villeneuve-Sous-Lô, and they've watched Provenzano come in on his own, but now the sprint specialists are licking their lips at yet another chance to show their strength on the front. That's amazing. We can just see in the yellowish coloured jersey there, Maricho Fondris has had a quiet race so far, starting to move through to the front of the bunch, and no sign in that heaving group at the front did I see the green jersey of Zabel. That's a great shot, that, isn't it? It captures the atmosphere, the way they get these cameras down low, the jostling, the pushing, the colour. Here they go, the green jersey's worked his way through. Abdul-Jabbarov's in the middle as well. The lad in the pink punching his bike all over the place, trying to fight for the 7th spot today. Let's hope they don't come a big bang on the floor. And still... Gan Moncassin is coming through. Moncassin gets ahead of Zabel. So Moncassin is not over yet by any means. He's 2nd on the points competition, and there he sniffed an extra point off Zabel as he managed to beat him for the 7th spot. Zabel, I think, was 8th, but let's watch it from the top as look at Moncassin now going up to the top of your screen, swings off the wheels, came off Zabel's wheel, starts to roll on the outside. Abdul-Jabbarov in the pinky colours there is beginning to lose ground. Zabel launched himself through. Zabel's looking for a gap between himself and, between Moncassin and the MG rider, but he doesn't quite find it and has to go down into 9th spot. Abdul-Jabbarov in 11th. The shimmering heat of the sunshine. And tomorrow's going to be a much different story. You won't see this tomorrow. And the many people you see here sprinting, they'll be fighting tomorrow to come inside the time limit because on the final climb up towards the finish tomorrow, it can really knock the stuffing out of riders. And here the 35-year-old Provenzano showing on his face the strain of that long lone break. Twice champion of Italy. He's a man who doesn't win much each year. He managed to pull off 1 win a year, more or less, and he's been twice champion of Italy. Just saved himself for the right day, gets the success, keeps his contract going, and now he can add to his list the stage today into Villeneuve-Sous-Lô. So Provenzano receiving the applause here, and a bouquet of flowers from the Coca-Cola girls. A well-timed jump on his part took him away from the 6-man breakaway. And so Italy having 1st, 2nd and 3rd today. And I wonder tomorrow who's going to run out victor. Certainly the Italians haven't brought any great big mountain climbers with them as we look back then at the powerful figure of Provenzano riding in to collect his stage victory worth 50,000 French francs. That's a sick end of £6,000. That's the result. You saw it on the screen. They came in dribs and drabs. No trouble for us to pick it up either. And what a disappointing day for Neil Stevens. But the yellow jersey safe on the shoulders of Bjorn Ries. He's had an easy day in the saddle. Yesterday he showed he was still bossed by attacking on the first climb of the day. And then the girls here from the Credit Lyonnais comes out, the blonde one, 23-year-old Karen Alerfen from Holland University, studying fiscal economics, lives in Tilburg. So another girl on the podium then, 20-year-old Marie Vincent, born in Nantes, but studying law at university in Paris. So the Credit Lyonnais have got some very intelligent girls up here. And will Bjorn Ries tomorrow have the physical strength, apart from the intelligence to watch the move, to keep that yellow jersey? We have to wait and see. He's been in a very intelligent race so far, Bjorn Ries, even showing from time to time when he's prepared to attack the opposition that he's the boss, and he's there by 56 seconds ahead of Alana. Berzin third, 1 minute 8 seconds. Romigo said he's going to thrash the mountains yet to come in fourth spot. And down there in eighth spot, Indurain, 4 minutes and 38 seconds down. The day after tomorrow we go down to Pamplona, right past Indurain's doorstep. The whole scene is set for a great day tomorrow. Not a day for Zabel, really. He got beaten by Moncassin in the sprint, but he's got enough points to keep that green jersey on his shoulders into the big mountains tomorrow. And I think he will survive the mountains over the next 3 days. And the points he's got should be sufficient, barring accidents, to keep that jersey until we get onto the plateau stage in 3 days' time. But we could be seeing this fellow in the green jersey in Paris on Sunday. So elated with it all. He has his birthday during the Tour de France, and this time not only has he had a couple of stage victories to celebrate his birthday, but he's got that green points jersey as well to go with it. He has 236 points as at this morning, ahead of Moncassin, 189 points. And that's going to take some catching. So Eric Zabel from the Telecom team, having a tremendously successful Tour de France. And there he is again in green, Eric Zabel of Telecom, the German sprinter specialist, having celebrated on the 7th of July this year his 26th birthday. A couple of stage victories last year in the Tour de France. He's one of those sprinter specialists, but really the French looking for something to shout about this year with the absence of Jalabert following his stomach problems. Right behind this fellow, Richard Veron. Well, he won the stage into Hautecom last year, that terribly sad stage when Fabio Casatelli died in that accident on the descent, that sharp bend that took away the life of the Olympic champion Fabio Casatelli. Richard Veron was away on his own. He didn't know of the accident. He was on the podium at the end of it all. He had his victor's flowers, he had the polka dot jersey, and it wasn't until after he came off the podium he knew the sad story of the day. This year the Young Riders Award is being dedicated to the memory of Fabio Casatelli. And tomorrow we go up the climb of Lode Hautecom, where we heard the bad news last year. This man smiling today in the polka dot jersey, wants his third victory in the King of Mountains competition in Paris, and then he said he'd switch his attention to the overall yellow jersey. Padonzano being interviewed here by the gentleman on the right here, well-known Italian commentator, and for the Italian viewers to Eurosport, I'm sure you've enjoyed this as much as I have. It shows here, even at 35 years of age, when you're domestic for the rest of the riders, when you take the occasion on the day, then you can get the victory. So tomorrow then, stage 16, we'll be bringing you live the back end of the race on Eurosport, and so I think book your seats now. It can be one of those days when the race is set for the run-in to Pamplona on the following day. Do join me then, David Duffield. Now, bye-bye.